Hello guys and welcome to this video. Today we will interview Mrs. Jeanne Destombe from HEC Paris MBA program. We will talk about this program, what differentiates this program, the admission process, what they are looking for in a candidate, and the scholarships and financing the MBA. We will dig deeper in all these topics. So thank you, Jeanne, for being here today. I will let you first present yourself, and then we will begin with the first question.
Thank you very much, Anis. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's my pleasure to be here with you today to be able to discuss the HEC Paris MBA program. So my name is Jeanne. I'm from France. I'm based on campus, actually, and my role is basically to guide applicants to the HEC Paris MBA to understand better the program, to know how to apply. I'm here to provide some tips, guidance, answer your questions. I personally take care of applicants that are based in France, UK, and Asia Pacific, but I have amazing colleagues who take care of other regions. So you can reach out to us and we'll be able to help you and guide you.
Okay, great. Thanks. So let's begin with the first question. First, in Europe, we have a lot of good MBAs. HEC Paris, INSEAD, LBS, IESE, and others. So what differentiate the HEC Paris MBA program from other top MBA programs in Europe?
Okay, that's a very good question. Of course, that's a question that most of you have in mind. So how can you see the difference between the different schools, how to pick the program that is the right one for you? I would say as long as you pick a top-ranked program, well-recognized, with a strong network, basically you will get a good job. You will get good professors. You will get a good program on your resume. So there's no wrong choice there. But it's really important to look for the program that is the right fit for you. And so here are maybe like a few differentiating points about HEC Paris MBA. First, we have a large green campus. We're located slightly outside of Paris, 17 kilometers outside of Paris, just next to Versailles. And we have residences on campus. So you can really have a real campus student life on top of your MBA classes. The learning doesn't stop at 4 p.m. when the classes end. Actually, you can stay with your classmates to join many student club events, go to a party, have a barbecue by the lake, etc. And you can rent a studio apartment on campus to make your life easier if you want. So maybe that's the difference with many campuses that are downtown with only one building. At HEC, we have a castle, a lake, a huge forest. You can go running for 1 hour on campus. You can host a lot of different events. And that also makes us able to host the MBA tournament, which is an amazing sport tournament in May, happening for the past 30 years, where all the top European schools are coming to visit us. So you can research on the MBA tournament. I think the fact that we have this large campus help us to host similar events. That's maybe one thing. Then secondly, it's probably the length of the MBA program. Most European MBA program will offer a 10, 11, or 12 months program, while at HEC it's a 16 months program. On the reverse, many American schools offer a 2-year program. So we're kind of just in between most European programs and American programs. And why do we do that? When we redid the curriculum with Bain around 7 years ago, of course, there has been adjustments since then and new specialization, etc. But we decided on that lens because we feel that for our students, many of them want to transform their career. We have a really high rate of people doing a triple jump, changing country, function, and sector. And to be able to do those major switch, it's nice to have a longer program than just a 10 months or 11 months. But we don't want our students to be too long out of the job market. That's why the 16 months program is kind of unique for HEC. And then maybe something that is different as well would be probably the class size. At INSEAD, they have a really, really large class. For example, while at HEC, we welcome around 300 students every year. And you can start in September or January. And when you start, you're more in a group of 150. So it's more a human size approach. So the network might look smaller on paper, but it's actually a very strong and collaborative network. So it just changed the atmosphere. Longer time, with less people, but still a big class. So you can really get to know everyone, become friends, create strong like partnership and friendship in the class. I think those are like, I mean, I could name many other things, but probably, yeah, campus life, class size, length of the program are among the differentiating factors at HEC.
Okay, great. Okay, so now let's talk a bit about the admissions at HEC. A lot of people ask me a lot of questions about the admission at MBAs, specifically HEC. So first, a question, what are you looking for? What is the most important factor, the number one factor you look into a candidate to decide whether we continue or not? We will dig deeper later in other factors.
Okay, sure.
But what is the number one? What is the most important thing for you?
Probably one will be your resume. And within the resume, be the career experience, like the work experience. What have you done until now? Since you graduated and until now, what have you been doing? Are you working? What kind of role? What kind of company, etc.? There's not a typical path that we look for. We really value diversity in the class, but we know that the MBA is a very strong degree. It will help you to boost your career, potentially to transform your career, to increase your salary, etc. But it will never erase what you did before. So we will actually capitalize on what you did before, help you go from that point to the next level. So that's why we look at your resume first. And within your resume, your work experience is probably the most important.
Okay, great. Thank you. So concerning the experience, a lot of people are contacting me. They have different backgrounds than the typical MBA background. So they are not engineers. They are not business people. Some are artists, medical doctors, psychologists, writers. Maybe people are doing theater. Now we are working with a guy who is working in theater. So what can you tell us about these profiles? Are they welcome at HEC or not? Do they have the same chance as an engineer or as a consultant or not? What can you tell us about these profiles?
Yeah, sure. No, we really love what we would say, like what we will call non-traditional MBA backgrounds. We really love that. We are really fan of diversity at HEC. We love to have a diverse class. We really strongly believe that diversity in the class is key element. You will be surrounded with classmates with top backgrounds, but from all types of sectors, all type of roles, coming from all different countries. And this is the strength of an MBA, is to be able to study in that type of environment. Your study group will be composed of people, maybe 5 or 6 people, one from each background, one from each country. We're super happy to have doctors, lawyers, artists, professional sport player, airplane pilot in the class. All the jobs that I just named you can find that actually in the current class of HEC.
Okay.
So we're super happy to have those type of profiles in the
classes.
So and that's probably another. Yeah.
So you are open to any profile, like a nurse, pilot, secretary, any profile, really.
Exactly. So what we encourage, like let's say the minimum requirement will be you need to have at least a bachelor degree or a licence in French, and you need to have at least 2 years of work experience, ideally after your graduation. So that's the official minimum requirement. From that, then basically you can come from any background. I've been in touch with a ballet dancer, a basketball player, an airplane pilot, a flight attendant, a nurse, etc., a pediatrician. So many different backgrounds. There's no limitation as long as you have at least 2 years work experience and at least a bachelor degree. Then, of course, the MBA application is very competitive. A lot of people apply. But you should definitely target competitive MBA programs and don't underestimate yourself. What I recommend as well for anyone who doubts, who say like, oh, maybe my background is not good enough, get in touch with us. You can go on HEC Paris MBA website. We have a page called Connect with Us. You can go there, fill a quick form about your background. You can put your resume, your LinkedIn, or just fill the form and it will arrive in my mailbox for my colleagues. And we can have a look and provide personal feedback to each people that contact us. So that's also a good way to kind of be reassured about your background. But yeah, there's no limitation. Super happy to have artists, lawyers, pilots in the class.
Okay, great. And in terms of GMAT, could could you tell us more about this factor in the admission process? So how much should someone score in the GMAT to be considered a good candidate for HEC? And is there a minimum or not really?
Yes, I'm happy to share elements around that. So the average GMAT in the class at HEC is 690. We accept equally GMAT or GRE, so you can pick the test of your choice. But as all top schools out there, we request that test. There is no waiver. It's either GMAT or GRE. You need to have one of those. Average is 690. We have applicants applying with all types of scores. There is no official minimum, but I would say I encourage every applicant to reach at least 600 before they apply to the program. The GMAT is not the only element. Again, your resume is very important, your essays, your motivation. Overall, we have a look at everything, and the GMAT is only one of the elements. But it's a good way for schools to make sure that you will be a good academic student, that when you target a topic, yes, you can open a book and practice to get a decent score. So I encourage everyone to reach 600. If applicants are taking a test, they are not sure about their score, again, they can be in touch with us before applying so that we can provide a bit of guidance.
Okay, great. So, but concerning the GMAT, the required score of the GMAT depends on the nationality, the experience, the field of experience or not? Because let's suppose if we look at, for example, the world right now, we have, for example, I don't know, countries with a lot of, with big population like China and India. You have certainly a lot of applicants from these countries. And you have countries, I don't know, small countries, maybe you don't have applicants from these countries. So if someone coming from India where there's a lot of candidates, he needs maybe to differentiate himself from the people from the same nationality. And if someone is coming, let's say from, I don't know, maybe Peru or Bangladesh or a country with less applicants, he brings diversity to the HEC program. And he does not have a lot of competitors from the same country. So is there any advantage in terms of GMAT score from this difficult? I mean, maybe from an Indian, you will require more GMAT score than someone from another country, or not the same?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So at HEC, we don't have any quota per nationality or per background, and we don't have any official required score per country or background. Though after experience, we noticed that when people, for example, have been a native English speaker, or maybe they worked a lot with figures, they tend to have a higher score than someone who was a ballet dancer as a background, or someone who grew up in France and was not used at all to standardized tests and have a good English level, but maybe not a native level. So the average GMAT for French takers, for example, would be lower than people coming from a native English background. It's true that the average GMAT test from India and China tends to be higher than for the French candidates, for example, but we don't have a higher minimum or higher demand at HEC level. But it's true, it's always good to be aware that you're applying to very competitive program. Do your best to really shine in your application. It can be through the GMAT, like a higher GMAT score will always help. It's never guaranteed to be admitted. I've seen applicants with a 760 GMAT who don't get in because the rest of the application was empty. And I've seen people with a 620 GMAT.
Could you tell us more about this guy or girl that got 700?
Yes, in that case, for example, the profile was really too junior. The person had an amazing GMAT, but had a very little work experience, like 6 months or 1 year. And at HEC, that is not enough. We really capitalize on your previous work experience, and you need a minimum of 2 years. We also, so there basically get a nice score if you can. The higher, the better somehow, but a really high score is not a guarantee to get in. And on the reverse, if you don't manage to get a really high score, you manage to get a 620, 630, you still have good chances to get in because it's not the only limit. So there's no official like average score per country or background.
But you take into consideration the native language. For example, if someone from the UK, from the USA, or from Australia, you're going to consider that he's fluent in English. And if someone living in France not going to score maybe the same score in the verbal section. So you take into consideration these factors.
That we do our best to be fair in the way we look at applicants, that's for sure. But it's true that if someone is a native English speaker, has a very high background with figures, statistics, finance, and has a very low score, I would encourage at least the applicant to write in an essay to explain a little bit about the score. Maybe he had very limited time to practice, or maybe there's other elements that he could highlight in his application to balance out the lower score. So it's true that we kind of consider as well your background when we look at your score, but there's no like official minimum targets depending on the background. So it's more an overall view. We really try to have a holistic approach, and your motivation, your essays, your career goals, what you did before is at least as important as the GMAT itself. But I mean, a higher score will never be something bad. It's always nice. So do your best with the GMAT. I think having a GMAT preparation can really help people get a better score. But yeah, there's no official like minimum score per country or background.
Okay, great. It's clear. Now, in terms of the candidate will tell you definitely his professional goals in the essays or something. If someone, let's say, told you, I want to work at MBB France, that's it, no other choices. Or I want to go to, I don't know, Goldman Sachs investment banking in London, fixed objective. Okay, he seems very serious about this this goal. What would you do with him? I mean, if you do an MBA, you should be more open to more opportunities. I mean, if someone is stubborn and I want MBB in France, no other choice. So, you know, it's risky because MBB are 3 companies and he might not get them. What do you do in this situation?
Yeah, sure. So first, I always try to be in touch with applicants before they actually apply, so I can discuss with them and guide them a bit better. And this is what I usually tell them when it comes to writing their post-MBA goals. I really encourage applicants to structure the essay. There's many ways to structure the post-MBA goals, but they could like divide in, for example, short-term goals and long-term goals, or they can go with plan A, plan B, plan C. They can discuss in terms of like location, function, sector. And traditionally, I kind of recommend them to avoid saying, okay, I only want McKinsey in Paris, that's it. I say, well, maybe if you have that in mind, probably a better way to phrase this would be, I want to do strategic consulting in Europe. Within Europe, ideally, I would love to relocate to France, but I'm aware that maybe speaking French would help. So I'm willing to learn French. I'm also willing to explore other locations within Europe. Among the potential company, maybe McKinsey would be a great fit, but there's also other options. I always recommend them to kind of stay open and even get ready for that, because we know that first, many students will change their mind on the way. During the MBA program, they meet so many companies, they meet so many great classmates, they just discover new jobs, new opportunities, new companies. They might also find out that during one of the career fairs, they meet with a really nice boutique consulting firm. And actually, the offer is just really nice. And maybe they would prefer that than McKinsey, actually. Or maybe they will realize by meeting employers that, okay, they really wanted to do MBA in Paris, but actually they can speak Arabic. And they are offering amazing opportunities in the Middle East as well, with great package. So maybe they could do that for 2 years and then do another job. So I always recommend applicants to stay open, but it's good to not be like you need to say something in your essays. So share what you have in mind. If the goal is really strict and important for you, share it with us, but maybe just remain a bit more open. And if you're looking for something that is very like a drastic change, maybe mention that, okay, I'm aware it's a really difficult move. I'm ready to either learn a language, network a lot. That's my plan in the MBA. I will join the consulting practice student club. I will meet up with companies. I will discuss that with my career coach. just that they have to show that they are aware of the difficulties and what's their plan. But of course, we are used to help those drastic change. And we have like a great number of students going into strategy consulting every year, around 30%. And we are also having around 40% of the class who do a triple jump, changing everything. So we can help to do that. That's really, we are used to that. But it's always good in an application to show that, yes, okay, you are aware that it will be challenging and you're ready for those challenges. So that when the jury read that, they are reassured. Okay, he wants to do something challenging, but he's aware. So yes, we can help, but it's not like completely, in the stars dreaming. He's aware that yes, it will require a lot of efforts.
Okay, great. And since we are talking about the essays, what is the most important element that someone should talk about in the essays, and what tips and tricks could you give us to people who are applying concerning the essays?
Yes, sure. My first advice would be illustrate, share examples. Don't only share like words that you think we want to hear, but be genuine in your application, be honest, write the essays yourself and illustrate. We have your resume, which is 1 or up to 2 pages long, but in your resume, it's quite short. You don't have a lot of space to explain things, and maybe there's one line in your resume that means much more for you because there was a challenging project, or maybe you were here in a company at a difficult time, or maybe it's something that happened when you were a student that is very cool for you to share. So my first recommendation is take a pen and a paper, brainstorm about everything that was interesting about you, every challenge, every opportunity, every cool things you did, and use those examples in the essays to illustrate and share more who you are and diversify the examples. Yes, your career is very important, but we want to know what do you do on your free time? What are your hobbies? If you have any personal elements, it could be in your family, it could be, whatever personal elements is important for you, examples of projects, etc. You can also share. So to illustrate all of that. And my second tip would be as well, understand that an MBA, it's also about learning from your peers. Yes, you will learn from the fantastic professors, but you will also learn from your classmates because they have on average 6 years work experience from all different backgrounds. We discussed that before. So it's good in your essays to also show what will be your potential contribution to HEC class. How will you contribute to the class? You will learn a lot from your classmates. And you, what can you bring? You can bring your knowledge about the region you worked in or where you grew up. You could bring your knowledge if you worked in an SME versus a big group. You can bring your industry knowledge. There's plenty of things you can bring, but make sure to highlight that so that then basically when we read your application, we're like, okay, wow, that's cool. Like he will be a great addition to the class. His classmates will learn a lot from him or her.
Okay, great, very clear. And concerning the age, also a lot of people asking me, I am 32 years old, I am too old for an MBA. So tell us more about the age. The minimum age is maybe 25 or 24. It depends on the experience, bachelor degree plus 2 years. So this is clear, maybe 23, 24, this is the minimum. The maximum age, what can you tell us?
Yes, sure, very happy to share that. So at HEC, the average age in the class is 30, 31 years old. Some years will be 29, 30 years old, but always around 30 years old for the average. In terms of length of work experience, the average is 6-7 years at HEC. Very happy to have people from 2 years work experience as we discussed. In terms of maximum, there's no official maximum, but I would say usually I recommend applicants to join the program by the time they turn 37 years old. So I'm happy to receive application of people that are up to 36, 37 years old. I sometimes have applications for people that are 38, 39. They will be a minority in the class, but they can sometimes still get in because, again, we value more the background, what they can bring to the class, how we can help them boost their career. But remember that we have also a great executive MBA program at HEC where the minimum work experience is 10 years with 3 managerial years of work experience. 3 managerial years. So traditionally, people that are from 38, 39 and above will be a better fit for the executive MBA. That is a part-time program.
Okay.
But sometimes I have older applicants that way prefer full-time program because it would make more sense for them. I have currently in the class, for example, a really great Japanese women student. Her name, actually, no, sorry, she's Chinese, but she's been living in Japan for the past 20 years. Her name is Freya Chu, and she was working at Spotify, so tech company in Japan, and she is 39 now. So she's the oldest in the class, but she blends in very well. For her, it was making way more sense to do a full-time program. She wanted to be very involved with the club, student life. So that works well. I had in the past Ikwan Nawawi, a senior manager from Petronas, who joined the program with 14 years work experience. Again, he joined, he was 39. I would say 39 is like the very late one, and ideally people apply before they turn 37 or at 37 at the latest.
So other than the work experience and the age and the full-time and part-time factors, what is the main difference between the executive MBA and the MBA program? So if someone has like 38, 39 years old, what should he do exactly? Do you recommend him to do the MBA or the executive MBA, and why?
So first, the choice is up to that person. So the best way for the person to know if there are better fits for MBA or EMBA would be probably get in touch with me and get in touch with my colleague from EMBA. Both of us can offer a CV review. Both of us can offer a Zoom call to discuss. We have campus visits and webinars for both programs. So I think the person should kind of get access for information for both programs and see what would be best for them. Then you highlighted already the main differences. Main differences is like age. Let's say below 38, you're more like MBA. Above 38, you're more EMBA. And work experience, of course. Then do you want to take a break in your career, have a full-time available to invest in a program, network, join student clubs, do activities? Then MBA is better fit for you. Or do you just want to go to class a few weeks here and there, a few days here and there, because you really want to stay in your company, in your job, and you have limited time to commit to a program? Then executive MBA could be a better fit for you. Then, so it really depends also what is your career goals. Let's say you will be able usually to do a stronger full transformation with the MBA, rather than executive MBA would be more, you're already an established manager. You want to go back to class after like 20 years out of class, and you want to update your soft skills and learn like hard skills, of course, but there's maybe the focus to completely transform your career is less strong in executive MBA, because usually you are already in your job, you will probably stay there, but you want to become a better manager. While the regular full-time MBA, there's probably like bigger diversity in the class in terms of backgrounds and stronger options for completely transforming your career. Though, again, you don't need to completely transform your career. You can do the MBA to have a better network, to boost your career, to increase your salary. So, again, the best is that the candidate does the choice. They get in touch with both programs, watch webinars, and do their own choice. We also have the same admission jury for both programs. So it can happen from time to time that a student apply to one of the program and they're actually a way better fit for the other program, and we can have that chat with them. Same, by the way, for the career goals. When you mentioned the example about like McKinsey in Paris, if we see that someone has a very strict career goal and doesn't seem open to anything else, we are sometimes before admission having a chat with them to say, okay, well, actually, we will do our best to help you do that, but we cannot guarantee this. What do you think? Do you have any other plans in mind? Like, we're always open for discussion before application, but also during the application process.
Okay, great. Okay, last question about the admissions. Concerning the acceptance rate at HEC Paris, what can you tell us about the acceptance rate? Is it difficult? If you can give us a percentage, if you know it, tell us more about this topic.
Yes, sure. I'm very happy to share more information about that. I think that the HEC Paris is one of the most competitive MBA out there to get in. First, because we have lots of applications, but also because we have limited spots. We take on average 300 students every year, split into intake. So the stats that I'm about to share is evolving every year. So don't take that for only like a very fixed stat, but usually we admit between 17 and 20% of applicants. So it's definitely a very selective MBA program, but don't feel discouraged at all. I really encourage you to look for very selective MBA programs. An MBA is a big investment of time and money, and you really want to make sure that your time and money is wisely invested, that you will be surrounded by classmates who were carefully selected, that the admission jury had a big pool of applicants to select the best and the brightest out of the crowd. So yes, very selective MBA program, but don't be discouraged. Again, if you have any doubts about is it worth it to apply, what will they think of my profile, get in touch with us, share your resume, we're happy to help. And for the admission process, basically it's in 2 steps at HEC. First, you share everything on paper, your resume, your essays, your GMAT score. We have a look, and every month we have a pre-selection jury, and we tell you if you're pre-selected. So that's the first part, and probably, I would say maybe the hardest part, I don't know, but this is where if you don't match the potential criteria, if we think you're too young, too old, if we think that the MBA could be a better fit later on, if there's a lot of applicants, you could also be a good applicant. But if there's a lot of applicants and there could be people that are even more competitive than you, then you might not be pre-selected. But let's say that's the first big thing, will be pre-selection. And then after pre-selection, you get to meet with alumni, 2 of them, on a one-on-one discussion, and it's the interview phase. And then based on the alumni feedback, the admission jury will take a decision. So it's in 2 steps. And at the end, it's the stats that I shared with you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So now we will talk about financing the MBA and about the scholarships. We can see that the tuition fees of MBAs is exploding. Now we should pay like 80,000, 90,000 or 100,000 euros tuition fees. With the inflation and everything, it looks very expensive for a lot of people. So tell me more about the financing of the MBA. First, how if someone is coming from France or from outside France, is it possible to get a loan from French banks or not, or from foreign banks? How it works to finance the MBA?
I'm happy to share about the financing, and for that I can share about scholarship for one part and about loans for the other. So basically, the tuition fee for HEC Paris MBA for September 23 is 87,000 euros. So that's definitely a big investment of money. But I encourage you as well to look at employment reports when you look at schools to kind of calculate a return on investment. HEC is still one of the schools offering the best return on investment, but it's definitely still a lot of money to pay at once. So to help you finance your MBA, there's different ways. First, there are scholarships. So you are, regardless if you apply from France or abroad, you are eligible for HEC scholarships. We have 2 main types of scholarship. And basically what I'm sharing about scholarship now, the application process is very easy. You apply to HEC and automatically you will be considered for scholarship. It doesn't matter if you apply early in the process or late in the process, we have scholarship money available at each round. Until
it's very important, very important.
That's very important because I know that many people are anxious and say, oh my God, I missed the first round, I will never get a scholarship. That's not true. You can apply at the last minute and still get a scholarship. Scholarship money is available at each application round. And at HEC, the application process is flexible because you have 1 application round per month. So you can pick any month from 1 year before the intake starts until 3 months before the intake starts. For September 23, you can apply each month basically until June. And for January 24, you can apply anytime until November. And for September 24, application will open from September 23 up to June 24. So back to the scholarship. You will be automatically considered for scholarship. First type of scholarship is merit-based. So here it's more like kind of, we will consider the quality of your application, quality of your essays, GMAT score, and the excellence of your background, what you have done in terms of academic background, professional background, hobby, etc. Make sure to always have a little part on your resume about like kind of additional information. Do you speak any other language? Do you practice any sports? What do you do in your free time? All those little things can also add points for like the excellence scholarship. Second type of scholarship is diversity. What kind of diversity you bring into the class? Here we will take into account where you apply from, also what exposure you have maybe to a specific industry or a specific company. Any also diversity element that you have and want to share with us will be considered there. Then we have a third scholarship that is for women exclusively because we are a member of Forte Foundation, a foundation for women from the US. So basically one for excellence, quality, one for diversity, and then one for women. Those are the main scholarships. On top, there's a few scholarships, but it's just for a few people. But you will also be considered for that through HEC application. It's the L'Oréal scholarship and Paris-Saclay scholarship if you work close to the campus. So there's a few extra, but the main one is excellence, diversity, and women. How much money can you get? Up to half of the tuition fee. Actually, the tuition fee is currently it's 87,000 euros, and scholarship can be actually up to 45K. Many different levels between 10K and 45K. How many people get a scholarship? Around 35% get a scholarship, so that's quite a lot, and an amount between 10 and 45K. When we look at women exclusively, 60% will get a scholarship thanks to the Forte scholarship that is coming on top. So that's for the scholarship.
Just one question before
yes.
talking about the loans. So to get the maximum scholarship, 45,000, could you give us a profile that could get this 45,000? What profile?
Yes.
Give us an example.
It's a bit hard to say like that, but let's say there would be someone that had a nice career background, like that had career evolution, that have been working for a few years with a nice high-level job, someone who got a good GMAT, probably 700 or more, someone who probably have a nice international exposure as well, probably studied or worked abroad maybe, and then or someone that has also that kind of diversity elements from their profile. But again, diversity could be in so many different ways that actually each of you can have some diverse elements to bring. But that's your role in the application essays to highlight what kind of diversity elements can you bring to the class, and to highlight also your career background, if you had any career progression, if you had any specific responsibilities within your company. So there's not a typical profile. I've seen business background, engineer background, non-traditional background getting the highest amount. So there's no like typical path to get the highest scholarship.
Okay, great. So I'll let you continue more about financing.
So now maybe I can talk a little bit about the loan. So basically, when you want to finance an MBA, first apply to the scholarship at the HEC. And then depending which country you come from, which company, you can always have a chat with your HR department or your government to see if there's any like local scholarship that you can get from company or country. For the loan, if you're based in France or have any link to France, you can get a loan from a French bank. So traditionally, Société Générale, BNP, LCL, and others offer great loans for HEC students.
They offer you a loan without a guarantor, or you need someone to...
So it depends. It depends if you are French or not, if you have been located in France or not.
If you are French working in France.
So this you will need to discuss with your bank because the conditions evolve all the time. But usually when you have a great job in France, etc., you don't always need a guarantor. But the guarantor will be asked if you have no links with France. I have like non-French people that were not in France. But if they have a French guarantor, then they can also get a loan from a French bank. But these conditions evolve all the time, and it's really for you to discuss with the banks. If you want contacts of the banks, you can go on the HEC Paris MBA website. We have a page with all the contacts of the banks, so you can directly be in touch. Usually for people that are not French, not based in France, no links with France yet, the best way, they either go with your local bank or the specific MBA loans institution. I will name two, Prodigy Finance and LendingWise. Again, Prodigy Finance, LendingWise, you can find the contacts on our website. So it's better get in touch with both of them, get in touch with French banks, get in touch with your local bank, and see like who offer you the best. Some students also kind of combine different opportunities. For French people, I want to mention a few other things. French people or people based and working in France, they don't have to be French, but if you manage to be under chômage, under unemployment money in France, like let's say, for example, your company is firing a lot of people and ask like who wants to volunteer, or maybe you manage to get a rupture conventionnelle, like a mutual agreement to stop your work contract. In that case, you can be under unemployment. And the MBA is actually considered to be like a formation training. So you can open your unemployment rights and get the unemployment money every month while doing your MBA. So that's a really nice addition. So basically, before quitting your company, try to negotiate a rupture conventionnelle. That can be really helpful. Then it's little amounts of money, but again, it's always good to get like littles here and there. You can unlock your CPF, congé professionnel de formation, to finance the MBA. It's usually like 3,000, 4,000. It's always that. And you can also apply for Projet de Transition Pro. It's a specific form you can fill. And we had students in the past who get some fundings from like French government to basically transition their career. So for this CPF Projet de Transition Pro, we have someone at HEC that can also help you and guide you to fill that form. And we are always in touch with like governments and institutions to make sure that any potential like fundings we are aware of and we can share with you. But so far, I will share Projet de Transition Pro, CPF, and employment money on top of HEC scholarship and loans.
Okay, great. Thank you for all the tips. I want to know more. We are in a very difficult times right now. Out of we have a war right now. We had also the virus. And now also we have the Federal Reserve is increasing the rates, which is putting a lot of pressures on companies, and we might enter in a recession. So what HEC is doing to help students get highly paid jobs? Because if we go to an MBA, we are searching for a package about maybe 100, 110, 120K per year. What are you doing in order to help your students get these type of jobs and salaries in these tight economic conditions?
Sure, that's a very good question. I think that's where having a 16-month program and not only a 10 months really helps a lot. That gives you more time to explore opportunities, more times to get in touch with company, more times to do potential internships, knowing that 13% of our students last year secured their full-time job following the internship. So 13% basically accepted the full-time job following the internship. So you can guess that way more actually got job offers following an internship. So 16 months program gives you more time to get ready for the next step. At HEC, we will work with you on your career goals and your next step from week 1. So we don't wait for you until the end of the program to help you. We do this from the beginning. You arrive, you will be in touch already with a career consultant. Each of you will have a career consultant that will work with you independently. And they will work with you in many ways. But basically, they will help you really identify what do you want to do later. In terms of function, sector, location, they will not only work with you on like your dream job, but they will work with you on plan A, plan B, plan C, safety option, to make sure that, and your safety option will be like a good option as well, but to make sure that, yes, you will get something good, something well paid. You might want to do a triple jump. Again, we're like super used to help people do that. Around 45% of our students do that every year, which is amazing. But it might not be easy. And maybe sometimes it's good to do the jump in 2 phases. Let me give you an example. Recently, I had a French student who really wanted to do marketing and luxury after the MBA. And he graduated just at the time of COVID, where we all know that luxury companies were not hiring at that moment.
I know the student. I know him. We work together.
So, yes. And so the move for him was like to do, the jump in 2 steps. First, do strategic consulting for luxury groups. And then he can enter big luxury company because they will be his clients. So as well, sometimes we have people that wanted to do strategic consulting in Paris, but then they realize, as I mentioned before, okay, actually, they are from Lebanon and they speak Arabic. And actually, in the Middle East, they're offering super high package and they look for people who speak Arabic. Or same for Latin America with Spanish speakers. So maybe for them, the good idea was actually to accept that in another location, get super high package, pay quickly back the loan, and then do the second jump with the ideal location they had in mind. So, but to help work on that, basically the career coach will help you prepare again, plan A, plan B, plan C, safety option. Then they will help you brainstorm a lot on what is the most important for you. And okay, you have your target job. What skills is maybe missing in your current profile? How can you develop those in the MBA program? And they will also help you identify what are the transferable skills from what you did before to that. They will help you pitch your story, because the goal is actually that you get job interview with companies, and then when you do the interview, you are able to convince them that yes, you have all those transferable skills, that yes, you're the right fit for that position. So there's a whole like work in progress through that the 16 months. Twice a month, we have big recruitment fairs on campus on Fridays. Every few days, there are at least one company coming as well. So when we look at just standalone company presentation, it's around 250 every year. So basically every few days, there's a company. When we look at big recruitment fairs, like at least 10, 12 companies here to recruit, it's twice a month on Fridays. Each time it will be a different topic, like a different sector, a different function, a different region in the world. You have opportunities for up to 2 internships in the MBA program. And basically, you're just in touch with alumni regularly, because through the student clubs, through the treks abroad as well. So when companies cannot come on campus, we make you able to visit them through the treks abroad. So when you mix all of those opportunities, basically, you have a coaching, you are meeting companies, you are meeting alumni and students of the previous class through the clubs, and all of this really helps. And I can mention maybe that the network of alumni is also very strong and helpful. So, for example, when COVID started and opportunities were becoming a bit like kind of tense, people didn't really know, everyone was on lockdowns. I'm the recruitment manager for Asia, so I can speak for Asia. But for example, all the alumni based in Singapore of HEC and other top French schools united themselves to help the about to graduate students, to share with them opportunities to meet with their companies, with their HR manager, to offer them extra coaching, etc. So there's really also like some help and support in difficult situation from alumni.
Okay, very good. Thank you. The last question I want to ask you today concerning the rankings. You know, Financial Times issued the last ranking 2023, and it was a bit a shock for a lot of schools. Some schools went crazy, and some schools are got a bad, not very good ranking. So, what happened first? So, what happened to the rankings, and what you are doing in order to improve your ranking, taking into consideration that the factors are changing every time. So you need to be always updated in order to get a good ranking. So explain to us everything related to rankings.
Yes, sure. I'm happy to provide a bit of guidance here, because I know and I understand it's a bit complicated to follow the rankings, etc. What I've always shared with applicants is, yes, have a look at rankings. They are important, but they are not everything. But yes, of course, you want to pick a school that is well known, that's well recognized, that has strong professors, a good network. Of course, you want that. You want it to be a good investment with a good return on investment. Then there's many rankings out there, but each ranking have their own criteria behind. So it's really important to understand which criteria behind the ranking and how it can explain ranks. Then when you take a specific ranking like Financial Times, the criteria used to be quite straightforward, mostly looking at the salary post-MBA, the employment post-MBA, even like 3 years after the MBA, not right after the program, while The Economist before used to be more like about the experience during the program, and the salary just right after the MBA. And this year, the criteria changed a lot. The most important criteria became, which is actually good, it's just very different from maybe what our MBA students are expecting. It's about environment and zero carbon emission. So that became the most important criteria. So basically all schools and all programs that have a really kind of net zero carbon emission campus, zero carbon emission plan for the next 5 years, next 10 years, have been really up in the rankings, while schools that are kind of lacking behind on this specific topic moved back. That's the case of HEC, London Business Schools, and a few other schools. So that's a very important criteria for sure, to take care of the environment. That's for sure very important at the world level. It's true that this is not something that we're focusing on the most for the MBA program. We're really focusing on the career support, the content of classes, of course, environment, ethics, sustainability, etc., is really incorporated in our class content. But in terms of our campus, we are one of the oldest business schools in Europe. We were created in 1881. Our campus is like 70 years old. Our MBA program is 50 years old. So our MBA building is very brand new and kind of sustainable. But when you look at master degree building, PhD building, they are old buildings. Where the heating system needs to be improved, insulation as well. It's true that we don't have a specific net zero carbon emission plan, so that explains a lot the ranking. So what will we do? We will work on that for sure. But also the ranking is a lot on, do you have a plan to improve, and not so much what's the current condition. It's more about the planning. So actually our campus is like not that bad, apart from having like old buildings, but we don't have a plan in place. This is still a very strong topic for staff and students. A lot of trainings incorporated. For Christmas, all the staff member had a training about how you can reduce at your work level and personal level your emission. But yeah, so that's basically the major change. So it was like a surprise a bit for everyone, but we will work on that for sure.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
haven't changed in terms of, when you look at employment report this year, it's even better than last year. When you look at career transformation, it has been always great in the past few years. But yeah, that was definitely the criteria that we lag behind.
Okay, great. Thank you for your clear answers, Jean. I will put your email in the description of this video. So for those who wants to contact Jean, you can find her email directly in the description of this video. And for those who are interested in preparing for the GMAT or the admission process at top MBAs in Europe and North America, I will leave also my email and my WhatsApp number in the description of this video, so you can contact me to schedule a session where we're gonna discuss about your project and see how we can help you. Okay, thank you again, Jean, and see you in another video. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anis, for this invitation, and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.